Yo, it's centralparkhiphop.com. Huh. Kick it.
Greetings. Peace, everybody. Thank you for listening to another episode of the Art of Hip Hop podcast. My name is Derrick, and today I am joined by my man 3-2.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back.
My man J.EX.
What's poppin', everybody? Peace.
And today's guest is P City, not to be confused with P Diddy. Pretty City, everybody.
Not to be confused. Lord,
No,
almighty.
never,
Maybe
ever.
we'll just go with Paige. How you doing, everybody?
Paige is a homegirl here out in Denver, and we're going to get to her bio in just a minute. Thank you so much for joining us today to talk about today's topic, the dancer.
Thank you for having me.
All right. So today's episode is we're going to cover what I feel like is really the most physical and arguably the most visually interesting element of hip hop, and that's dance. And I almost wanted to title this podcast the B-Boy or the B-Girl, but 3-2, you know this. It's like there's more than just breaking
Yeah, for sure.
in associated with hip hop, you know, because again, one of our favorite documentaries, The Freshest Kids, you know, it outlines popping, locking, street dance. I can just call it street dance. So I'm just going to title this episode The Dancer. And Paige is here today because she is a dancer and an instructor herself. I'm going to ask her to give her bio here in just a minute, but I didn't want to just limit today's discussion to breaking. So Paige, if you wouldn't mind giving us a brief bio about your background. I know that you have ballet, tap, and your style is hip hop with feminine flair. Is that correct?
Yes.
Cool.
Okay, Rita, you've been doing your research. So thank you again for having me. My name is Paige, Pretty City on the socials. That's a nickname from college that just kind of stuck. But I was born and raised in Connecticut. And my mom put me in dance when I was young. I've been dancing since I was like 4 years old, just to like socialize me, put me around other kids. And I really took to it. And I actually tap dance. So when you're like 4 or 5 years old, they have these little combination dance classes where you'll do like ballet for 15 minutes and then you'll do like tap for 15 minutes. And tap, I really, really took to it. And that's actually like where I developed my sense of rhythm.
Mm-hmm.
I tapped, like, I didn't do hip hop until my tap teacher was like, you should do hip hop. I don't know why you haven't.
What was your introduction to hip hop?
Was her. She just put me in a trio. It was actually Walk This Way, the Run DMC and the Aerosmith version, because there were the jazz girls and they did Aerosmith, and then there was me and it was like a little trio. And we did, so it was dope.
Which one were you? DMC, Run, or Jam Master J?
That's funny. Yeah, I probably would have been Run because I'm the leader. But
I love that.
But yeah, that was how I got into hip hop. And then I went to college and I continued dancing. I was in charge of some dance groups, put on shows every semester, really loved it. And I was like, this is what I'm going to do. This is what I'm going to do. In high school, I actually went on a little dance tour of a competition that used to like travel around the country. Mm-hmm. And I was just like, this is what I'm going to do. I want to be a dancer. After high school, I'm going to move to LA. Mm-hmm. And my parents are your more traditional professional people. So they were like, no, you're not. You're going to
join the circus. You're not going to run away and join the circus.
Not going to run away and join the circus, but that I think is probably what they're great people. Let's give it up for my parents. But the idea of a creative career, they couldn't wrap their minds around that. So I went to law school. After college, I went to law school And law school is also very conservative. The legal profession is very conservative. And also law school, I don't know if you know anything about law school, but it's pretty competitive and you're graded on a curve. So you're constantly being measured up against everybody else. So what people think, I mean, that's a big deal. So I didn't feel like dance was something that attorneys did. I was like, I'm a professional now. I don't dance. And I really kind of got away from it for a long time. I would maybe take classes here and there, but I wasn't consistent with it until recently. I'm just like, who cares? Like, age, experience, caring less of what people think is a beautiful thing. And so I moved to Denver.
I was going to say, how'd you wind up here in Denver?
I ended up here in Denver. So I'm a law professor now. I don't practice full time anymore. I am a law professor, and the school that I on the faculty at full time allowed me to come out here and visit. So I am visiting at the University of Denver's law school. I'm actually in the office right now because
How long
I
are you
left my
here for?
AirPods here. But anyway, 2 years. 2 years. I'm at the end of my 2 years. So it was a 2-year visit. Yeah, 2-year visit. So I'll be back at the University of Florida in August. But I started dancing consistently here. And I think also the freedom of going to a new place where nobody knew me. I was like,
the anonymity.
The anonymity of it. Nobody knew I go into class. Nobody knows. So in Florida, I go into class. I've been in classes with my students. I be trying to be like undercover in the dance class, taking the dance class. And it's like, no, I'm not her right now. So that was cool. Yes.
I want to ask you, how did you wind up at the studio that you're at?
That is a funny story. Yeah. So in Florida, I took classes at a studio called Exchange, and there was another girl there named Serena who also took classes. Serena actually also went to UF where I teach, but she moved out to Denver, and I was seeing all her posts and everything. She started teaching classes when she got out here. So when I came out here, I started taking her classes because she was the one person that I knew from Florida. So I was just consistent. I know, right? Crazy how people get brought together.
Small world, man.
Very small. I started taking classes consistently with her. She ended up opening up a studio and asked me to teach at the studio.
Cece?
Serena and Cece opened.
Okay.
Cece, though, was already out here, I believe. I think
I've met Cece. I haven't met Serena.
Yeah, Serena is how I ended up at Elemental.
Nice. And again, later on, I'm definitely going to get the contact information for everybody who would like to get in touch with you and or Elements Studio. Cool. All right. So this is a quick overview of how our discussion is going to go today. I'm going to give my opening statement, going to talk a little bit about the vitals, the background, the who, what, where, when, why of breaking. Then I want to get your guys' thoughts in the open comment section. We're going to cover a couple of gems, a you should know segment, and then we're going to get out of here. Sound good?
Yes.
All right, let's get it. So off the top, history of breaking is murky. It's very, 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 very murky. 3-2, like, you would watch The Freshest Kids a lot. Mm-hmm. You can't get a straight story out of anybody in that documentary. Right. Everybody's got a different story about who did what. So, when you try to lay out some of the vitals, like the who, what, when, where, and why, you're going to run into a lot of different problems, a lot of different chaos. But as for the why, I think this is very easy. Speaking as a former old breaker myself, I think breakers, street dancers dance for the glory. And I'll talk a little bit more about that in a second. But first thing to know about breaking is that at its core, it's a fighter's dance. Is it capoeira? How do I pronounce it?
Capoeira.
Capoeira.
Yep. Much like that. It's a very, 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 that dance actually influenced hip hop, but much like that, it is a fighter's dance. And I'm talking about B-boys crave battle. And, you can dance for exhibition, you can dance for ceremonies, but breakers, true B-boys, B-girls, they want to compete. And in my humble opinion, they want it even more so than MCs. Battling is elemental to all 4 of the core 4 artists: MC battles, dance battles, graffiti battles, DJ everybody battles. But in as an MC, you can elevate your status on your own just by releasing dope tracks. A DJ can elevate his status just by throwing the best parties and getting the biggest crowds. Graffiti writers can elevate their status by throwing up the most popular pieces and things like. But a b-boy, you gotta. What Jay? You only as dope as the last person you killed in hip hop and in dancing. You gotta, if you want to elevate your status, you gotta beat people. You can't just be over there in the corner and just have some dope moves. You got to be able to beat somebody. So in my opinion, the b-boy craves battle more so than any of the other 4 core artists. And the art of breaking, the art of it is to fight, to battle, to compete with rhythm and style. And you got to show your techniques, your skills, but you got to have flair and swagger, charisma if you want to beat that other person, because most everybody's going to break out a lot of the same basic moves. It's all about your execution. It's about, we're going to talk about a little bit later about the performative aspect of your dance. You are, in my opinion, you are trying to show up and mock, outshine the other dancer across from you. You know, every B-girl wants to get up and say, I'm dope and you're not. And I think that's elemental to all 4 of our core 4 artists. Everybody thinks that they're dope and the other person is whack. But again, I just think it's a little bit more DNA-ish with a dancer.
Mm-hmm.
And if you don't have that certainty, that confidence, that arrogance, then please, 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 please do not go out like that Aussie break dancer, get up on the stage and clown yourself. Ain't nobody trying to see that.
Oh, man.
Nobody trying to see that, man. So now if you want to go on to the history of it, right? As with most historical retracings in hip hop, it's impossible to point to one person and give them credit for this or that or this, then the third. And breaking's no exception. The only thing even close to being universally agreed upon is that Kool Herc did invent or create the title B-Boy and B-Girl. But he wasn't just looking at one particular person and applying that title. He was looking at all the dancers at his parties. So if I say that Wallace D, Salsa, Charlie Rock, Norm Rockwell, Eldorado Mike, or crews like the Zulu Kings, Bronx Boys, Crazy Commanders Crew, the Nigga Twins.
There's some OG people right here, for real. It's dope.
If I look and say that they started this or that, you know, I can't prove it. So I'm just going to give credit to the Black and Puerto Rican kids that came from the Boogie Down, your neck of the woods, Jex.
Yes, sir.
In the early 70s for creating, and I do think they created a totally new form of dance. And that's about as fair as a person can get. And the dance was influenced by James Brown, Bruce Lee, African dance, the capoeira, I can never say it right.
Capoeira.
Russian dance, tap dancers like the Nicholas Brothers, gymnastics, all kinds of stuff went into it. But those kids, I think they took it, they turned it into something unique and their own, and genuinely created a new art form with that. Now, back to the why, back to the glory. One definition of glory says this: high renown or honor won by notable achievements. And yeah, everybody is going to want to dance because it makes you feel good. And you get to express yourself physically and emotionally and intellectually with dance, and all that's true. You can do all of that stuff. And these kids, they did get busy creatively. But I would argue that what they really wanted was the attention that comes from victory. And I think MCs want that. I think almost everybody in hip, because when you're a ghetto kid, right? And these creators were definitely that. Jex, you know the history of the South Bronx a lot better than anybody here today. The Bronx was bombed out. It was like third world, you know?
Yeah.
And like
a lot of people, the owners of those apartments in the South Bronx, it started off with like fires of, you know, people who were doing crack and they fall asleep and, you know, the couch would go in front of the house and the apartments on fire. And the people, they took
landlords was
advantage of
torching
it.
buildings because, for the insurance, all that
It's
stuff.
yep. And the Bronx was burning.
And if you could get some notoriety, some attention for doing something good, I think that's what was really behind the motivation for these kids. So anyway, that's my opening statement. I'd love to get your guys' thoughts on it, your rebuttals, comments, things like that. And Paige, I'm going to come to you in just a second, but Jex, you said that those were some legendary cats, that I listed off. What would you say the legacy of those crews were like in the Bronx when you were growing up?
Growing up, that was already probably 20 years past my time of me growing up. But they again, like we said with the hip hop MCs who've been around, they're legends. Like these are people that, like we speak of Crazy Legs inventing the windmill. You can never take that away from him. Like he's one of the first people to do that. The other crews that you said, even including the Zulu Nation, it's crazy because the importance of breakdancing and how it was used for battle. Africa Bambaataa, the leader of the Zulu Nation, understood that this could be used as former gang member of the Black Spades, leader.
Former leader, too.
Yes, of one of the biggest gangs in New York at that time. And he saw hip hop as a way of bringing peace. So it's important that we understand that the gangs at that time, they weren't using knives or guns or fists. They were breakdancing or MC battling, but the breakdancing, they pull out a cardboard right in the middle of the corner of the street
all over the place
and get it popping, man. Like go to somebody's, projects and just get it popping, and it was settled. So
yep. 3-2. Your thoughts on the history of breaking, please.
I feel like that's the thing that is one of the, yes, it's a core element for sure. I feel like it's been going through waves of being fully appreciated and then going to being underappreciated and then being exploited and then going back under the ground again. And so, yeah, it's something that has always enamored me. I think possibly because I've always wanted to do it, but just never had. As soon as I'm one of those that if I can't take on to something easily right away, then I kind of quit it. And so I've tried my hand at pretty much every main element of hip hop.
Tried to break dance.
Right. And I had homies that we used to go every Friday and they would all break dance, and I tried my feel of it for a bit, but I was just like, nah, I'm gonna just be a fan. And it's okay to just be a fan. And if you can't do it, doesn't mean you have to love it any less to just adore it from the sidelines.
Yeah. I mean, you still go to competition. Didn't you say you just was at one last year, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I think that was the most watched segment of the Olympics was the breakdancing part.
Right. Yeah. So
last year.
That's a good segue. Paige, before we get into your thoughts on the history of breaking, get your thoughts on the Olympics real quick. I'm just going to open floor. I'm not going to contaminate your thoughts with my opinion of how incredibly bad that Australian dancer damaged the reputation. Just forget I said all of that. I just would like to get your thoughts on the Olympics and what happened there.
I think it was dope for dance to be recognized as a sport on that level with other sports. I always think of dance as I think of myself as an athlete. It's very physical, and I grew up a competitive dancer, and I know dance competitions, people have their thoughts and ideas about that, but it's competitive. Like you said, the very nature of breaking and where it came from, it's rooted in battle. So I appreciated it. I think that they could have had a much better representation of it. And I don't think they're not doing it anymore, right? It's not going to be. And I'm like, dang, we can't have nothing. We can't have nothing.
That's what irritates me so bad. It's it's not coming back. And the lasting impression is that Australian dancer.
Yeah.
Not the people who won gold.
Yeah, real.
Not the gold medalist. It's her.
Yeah.
In Call of Duty, they made an emote, which is the player you're playing with's movement that they could do out of nowhere. And one of them is that Australian dancer, which is sad, you know what I mean? For real. It was funny, but it's sad.
Yeah.
So I appreciated it being at the Olympic level stage, but I wish that they could have had I don't know, I wish it just could have been different.
Yeah. Your thoughts on my opening statement, the history of breaking, please.
again, it's a battle. I think I'm an athlete. I know I'm an athlete, and I just appreciate the history that you gave about it being that and how it was rooted in. And like 3-2 was saying, he's a fan. Like, yeah, we all, when it comes to like kind of any kind of cultural thing, we need the fans, right? Like artists, performers need the fans to, perform for. Athletes need the fans to come. So it is,
it's
in
that energy.
every sense, it's the same. Yeah, it's the same type of thing. Like dance is just super dope, and I am grateful for it. The battle of it. I need to bring that back in because yes, it does bring these people together in community. But I think that some people that don't know the history, because when I have my classes, when I teach, I'm teaching dance moves. I'm not teaching about the history of it, but hearing you share that makes me think like, oh, I do need to educate a little bit more. Like, what are we all doing here? Where did this all come from? And give credit to where it's due.
You say you've competed.
I did. So I wasn't like a studio competition kid. I wasn't like busting out my cardboard, like doing windmills or nothing like that, spinning on my head. But
well, you ain't a true one. No, I'm just
I am not new to this. Okay,
I'm true to this.
I have like a cool sixth up, and that's about it. But with the studio that I was telling you, I tapped, and then the teacher was like, "Oh, you should be doing hip hop." They did competitions, and it's funny because one of the requirements, if you wanted to compete, it was ballet. Like they considered that to be foundational, but I think hip hop is more foundational than ballet. Like personally, when it comes to just being able to listen to music, being able to hear rhythm, being able to connect that to movement. Hip hop is foundational. Hip hop is way more foundational than any. And that's all like the whole culture of that is colonizing and just racist in general. So we won't have to get into that aspect of it. But when we would compete, go ahead.
No, finish your thought, please.
When we would compete, it would be against other studios. And there would be a panel of judges. And then there would be an award ceremony afterwards. So when it came to competitions like tap, I was always cleaning up. I was like tap dance. Which is so funny. I kind of forgot about that.
My question was, how is street dance viewed in the traditional dance world? Because I know, like, I think it was 3-2 who was saying how, it's been in favor, it's felt, or was that J.EX?
Yeah.
It's been in favor,
like
it's fallen out of favor. How is it viewed in the traditional dance world? How is street dance viewed?
That
is it looked down upon by, traditional ballet schools? And
I think so. I think that almost kind of like street art, like graffiti street art and like your traditional art, I think in kind of the same way. It's like, oh, you sold out, I think there's definitely like this sort of tension between the two worlds of classically trained, whatever that means, and like kind of the street dance.
Yeah.
Where, like you said, everybody thinks they're better than everybody when it comes to dance. I mean, that's just part of the culture, and you gotta have that about you. But I definitely think that it's looked down upon. But I also think that trained dancers might be looked down upon by, like street, like raw, authentic.
It's like somebody was pointing out in the Freshest Kids. I was like, don't tell me exactly how to point my foot like this or that. I don't want to see. I want to see you, just get busy on the dance floor,
Or kind of like even in Beat Street when there's that whole interaction where they go into the studio and then like they watch him do his moves and everything, and then they like look at it like a novelty, and then they're like, okay, well that's good, and then we don't have space for that here, but go away. But that was cool, thanks. And they're like
entertaining us.
Yeah, exactly.
I feel like any culture that comes out of the Black or brown communities, once they're seen, they're put away, because I always feel it's a race thing, but in a class thing, of course, when it comes with that. But once it's adopted, then it's accepted. Like even rapping, hip hop in general was like looked upon as like, oh, that's just something for the streets that the kids are doing.
Yeah.
And right now it's a global thing that even the oldest Caucasian man's doing right now, you know? So I feel like our roots actually go back to African dance and native and indigenous dances, like the Crip Walk itself, even though that's that's from Black culture.
That's
now in hip hop.
dance. Yeah.
And that was a gang thing. So that's why people look down on it. But you see Serena Williams doing that at the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
It's hip hop, you know?
I'm glad I got you two MCs here today because MCs are definitely at the forefront of hip hop. The MC is the premier artist out of the core four. And it used to be that breakers were the premier visual artists in hip hop. DJs made sets through parties for breakers to come in and get busy, right?
That's we get the breaks.
Nightclubs set up, affairs for set up affairs. But even MCs early on used to give props and make songs and do things for breakers, for B-boys, As MCs today, why has that gone away? I mean, like what in my opinion, and I know I'm putting you two on the spot and I apologize for that, but I'll give you like MCs don't make dance songs anymore. So check it out, party people. It's burning a brand new dance called the Pee Wee Herman. People
I think it still
MCs
goes down.
Used to make songs for dancers, and they don't anymore.
I defer on that. Go ahead, 3-2.
I say that it's kind of shifted with where we are in tandem with where we have gone culturally. The focus has been less on having hip hop be just fun music in general.
Mm-hmm.
And so I feel like similarly to how the lyricism of hip hop has become more underground, with the exception of a few particular artists, most of the artists that make music now commercially are the ones with that they follow what's hot. And right now, like we talked about before, like b-boying and dancing in general is more underground and you have to search for it. And so usually if there's like one of two dynamics that I've noticed from like all the dance circles and dance events that I've been to is there's either the type that are like the more modern street dance and where there's and modern like hip hop dancing. And so they use a lot more of the commercial music for their stuff. But then when it's like the breaking and stuff like that, they still are using the same tracks that have been around since the 70s and 80s. Mm-hmm. And like I personally have a fondness for dance. Like even on my first EP, I've got a song called Backspin, giving love to break dancers and stuff like that.
That's fire. That's fire.
Yeah, like because Don't Stop the Rock was one of my favorite, still to this day, one of my favorite old school like hip hop dance jams. Like you can't that and Planet Rock, you can't really hear them and not want to break dance, even if you couldn't. But just like they make you, it's just something like your body starts moving whether you like it or not.
Yeah, popping and locking and all that. See at the city for real.
So like Pavlovian dogs or something.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
So, but I feel like it's just kind of ebbed and flowed with the way that dance is perceived throughout the culture and nationwide in general. So I feel like some people are, but I also feel like the artists that are making songs for dances, the dances are just different. Like Soulja Boy, when you look at his track that he made all those years back.
Was it Superman or whatever?
Yeah. Like there's nothing, like that's nowhere near breaking, but it was still a dance song. Right, yeah. And so there's several songs that have come out in between them. And a lot of them, especially with the rise of TikTok, where there's TikTok dances and all that. So a lot of artists are coming viral just for making songs that are just for the sake of making up TikTok dances for it. So I feel like that's kind of like the evolution of where we're at right now with it.
I do want to say that there is I agree, but then I disagree. I do, like, we had the Tootsie Roll. Like, they were all elements of breakdancing to like Tootsie Roll, Crank That. They had to Crank That Spider-Man, Crank That this, to even footwork. Crip walking, to do the stanky leg, like different things like that. We always had something. But now, see, y'all don't have it out in the West like that, but in the East Coast and in the UK, you got Getting Sturdy. which is all footwork. Can I show y'all how to get sturdy? I wish I'll show y'all after.
I got a dancer right here. I got a question for her. Paige, help us out. Some of your favorite dance hip hop songs, or
I mean, I feel like there are artists who are dancers that like their music is to dance to. Chris Brown immediately comes to mind. I feel like his songs, like just like the beats and the like, it's for you to dance to. It's so that you can hit that. And like a lot of choreography, I feel like it doesn't always have to be big. It doesn't always have to be like something complicated. If it's like small, but it like hits and it's impactful, it's going to give the reaction that you might get from something that's more intricate, complicated. So
what would
songs though, like, or dances to songs?
Yeah, like some of your favorite tracks. You like, when that song comes on, I got to get on the floor. I got to get.
This is so funny, and I guess how you were like, y'all know he's the same age as hip hop. I didn't know that. We were talking about how old we were. But telling my age,
they know.
The chicken head. That was my dance. That was like the, like the way you do that right there. Y'all don't know that?
I remember.
Chingy?
I know that.
No.
Yeah. I remember that.
Oh, the chicken head.
Yeah.
Yeah. I remember that.
Yeah. For a while, you couldn't see a video without that in it. After that song.
Yeah, that's my go-to. Yeah.
Is there a okay? So like these cats, they have a little bit of different. These two MCs. There's overlap, but there's a definite distinction between like their style. J.EX is comes from a battle rap background, and so the beats are going to be a little bit more sharp, right? 3-2 has a little bit more of a storytelling background, so his beats are going to be a little bit more complimentary. Okay, is there a genre of hip hop or beats or music in general that is better, worse to dance to? Like, if you were to advise an MC, it's like, hey, if you want to make a track that people will dance to, try to make a track over these type of beats. I'm putting you on the spot now.
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, the storytelling can come through no matter how, like, through a dance perspective, because I like a lot of times for like the dance to complement, like, it's my interpretation of the song basically through dance. It's like how I interpret the different things that I'm hearing, whether it's the beat in the music or the lyrics of the song. But yeah, if you want a dance track, like, it's got to be something like upbeat that like you can groove to, just the basic groove, bounce, rhythm.
Mm-hmm. Some
a kickball change, a two-step, anything that you can like do those kind of basic bounce, groove, rhythm, that's gonna get people on their feet dancing.
3-2, do you have a comment?
Yeah. I think that also something that just came to my mind is that a lot of tracks are made based on a city or like a region's dance style. Right. So like, for example, what I just thought about is like the Bay with the crumping and all that. Like, that's still they still do that right now to this day. And so there's a lot of artists that make, a lot of the like hyphy music and stuff like that specifically for that style of dance. You go to Chicago and they got like their style of dance. They had like the stepping and all that they were doing. You go to Louisiana and they got like the
J.EX, she was just there.
I was just talking about getting sturdy. Like, that's in New York and UK right now.
I still want to see J.EX get sturdy. I still want to.
Legit.
I'm all right. Them kids is doing it way better, man. Their knees are working.
Louisiana bounce music. And so you got like artists like Big Frida and stuff like that making bounce music for the ways that they dance. So there's definitely, I feel like they're made in the in-between sections, like Denver. Like, Denver doesn't have a dance style, right? So there's not a lot of artists that are making tracks for people to dance in a Denver style of dance. But when you go to some of these larger pockets that have had like incubated their own identity based on not just the music, but the dances that they come up with within that culture. So there's still artists that are doing a lot of music that inspire the dancers that dance to that type. So I feel like that's still, I feel like it got super popular for a while where everybody was doing that stuff and artists from different regions were making music that was becoming famous nationwide. But I feel like after that wave broke, then it just started going back to the individual cities for the most part.
Yeah.
Paige, what was your impression of the Denver dance scene as an outsider when you landed? What was your impression of the scene?
I didn't really feel like there was a scene. There weren't a lot, just in terms of like a place where I can go to take a dance class, studio training. So there were definitely studios, but the girl Serena I was just telling you about, she was just teaching classes on her own. She wasn't like with any particular studio. So yeah, I don't know. I didn't really feel like there
clubs
was,
or like, so I don't
that's
do
not
clubs.
really at this
I'm
stage
not
of my
doing no
life.
clubs. Yeah, I'm not doing no clubs at all.
I don't really be in the club like that.
Jex be out there. Jex, are they dancing out there in the streets?
To be
But
honest,
nobody dances.
I'll be honest with you. I haven't been. No, there is a scene out here, and they actually do like old school breakdance. Like you'll find kids who are younger as 20, 21, 22, and they're keeping the tradition alive, and they take it
Nice.
serious as well. They
Nice.
probably just don't have the opportunity or people around them be like, let's take it bigger. You know what I mean? I last time I was out in the club was a year ago out here. I didn't see much because it was in the club, but I did go to View House on Arapahoe, and I met this whole crew of breakdancers who were younger than me.
Nice.
You know, and they
Nice.
were doing everything. I was dancing with them. They liked what I was doing, but yeah, like it's out here. You just gotta look for it. And then also, I want to bring up, I do have a show on May 4th. It has to do with breakdancing. There's something called the Mexican Standoff, but it's different break crews coming together, and also performance at MC Supernatural going to be. If y'all want to actually come and see that,
Yeah.
I invite all of y'all to come. It's gonna be.
Dope.
I'll send y'all the info. Word. So because they're out here. They are. You gotta look for it.
Yeah.
I have not been here that long, so I will say that
I'll send you the info.
What your students? What's been your impression of your students? Do you feel like does it seem like it's growing? Does it seem like
absolutely, yeah. I have a lot of consistent students that aren't only consistent in my class, but they're consistent in like other classes and other places, like not even just at elemental. So there's definitely, and that's what dance is. I feel like it, like once you are able to experience it, that's what you want to be doing all the time with all your free time. So yeah, absolutely. The community is growing. I have only been here for 2 years. So in the short time that I have been here, I have definitely seen growth, at least in the spaces that I'm in.
Nice. We're going to transition to some more specific questions I have for Paige. But so this is, I'll edit this out if you guys want me to. But listen, we got all the elements right here between y'all three. Jex, you know DJ Wislam.
Of course.
Yeah, we got everything to like make a dance, like 3-2, like you talking about. Paige, I don't know if you got like a dance style in the back of your mind. You're like, yo, I've been waiting to break this out anyway. You got two MCs who will write a song for it. We got DJs who will make a beat for it. I mean, like, dude, we should do something, but I'll edit that out.
I'm down.
Yeah, hell yeah.
Yeah, I'm down. We gotta get together.
All right, so let's transition to some more specific questions about dancing. Paige, this is for you. Most all of these questions are for you. So usually the first opponent as a combatant, as a dance combatant, is usually yourself. You have to overcome your fears and things like that. How did you build your self-confidence as a dancer to get out in front of people and bust a move?
Yeah, confidence is built like internally in private moments. So I think that just like practicing consistently, dancing alone, trusting myself, it grew kind of every single time I showed up for myself. And just like doing the things that you say you're going to do, keeping promises to yourself, like all those little things kind of help build confidence. But in a performance like dance aspect, I don't think it's something that you necessarily wait for, but it's something that like kind of grows over time. And as it grows, you care less about what people think. I talked about that earlier.
Okay. Gotcha.
Yeah, just showing up for myself.
Okay. So now next question for you, Paige, is this. Very similar to what we talked about earlier. You got funk, you got jazz, you got MCs who make beats over salsa, Latin tracks, things like that. what genre of music would you say has been the easiest or the best or the quickest one to learn to dance off of?
For me personally, hip hop feels like home. Like hip hop it's natural. Tap, I was always very good at tap, but
no, I'm sorry. I'm talking about the music. I'm talking
for
about like the
me,
music. Yeah, like if you throw on a funk track.
what's the easiest genre of music for me to dance
Genre of
to?
music. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I think like some of the ones you mentioned, like funk, jazz, they all require like a listening and an adapting. Like different genres might challenge like different skills.
Mm-hmm.
So I think the key is just like letting the music lead and trying to become like multilingual as a mover. I think like just learning how to listen to music. So yeah, I think they all require different skills. I don't know that one is like more difficult or more easy, but still hip hop does still feel like home for me personally. Like personally, hip hop is like the genre of music that I'm like, I hear it and I can almost like visualize from choreographing something like how it's gonna go.
The physicality of dancing requires physical training. And I know you talked about like you see yourself as an athlete, right? So like what kind of training would you do for to be a street dancer, a hip hop dancer? And also like would cheerleading also help?
Dance requires strength and control. So train your core. That honestly though, just train your core if you want to live life independently. Like you have to have a strong, solid core that's like foundational. Strength though, like strength training is definitely something to like cross train. Don't be afraid of the weight room. Be able to support your body weight. Stretch.
Yeah.
Definitely keep yourself. I injured myself in 23 2 years ago, 2023, because I jumped into like dance and I didn't stretch, and so stretch stretch dance regularly, but all of those like again core strength,
Got you.
cardio, stamina, like build your mobility, build your stamina. Those are like foundational things I would start with. Learn groove, like again, just like how to like listen to the music and like where the pocket of it is and like how to catch a beat
Can you
and
teach
rhythm.
that?
Yeah, that's like part of the warm up. So part of my warm up is just like we turn on music and just like follow me. I don't do a ton of talking. I feel like just watch me and do what I'm doing and try to like hear what I'm hearing. But of course, like the repetition of how you master anything.
Gotcha.
Hey guys, I just want to say two things. One thing you do need is leg strength.
Strength,
Yeah.
absolutely. Yeah.
Well, what's the keys to choreography?
I think just clarity. I think clean transitions, musicality, intention, all of that matters. It's storytelling. I like choreography to me is like telling a story of the music. So again, clarity, you want that story to come across for the audience. You want them to understand. You don't want them to be like, why are they doing that? Like, why did they choose that move right there? Like, you want it to make sense for them. So, and it doesn't always have to be, I have said this before too, it doesn't always have to be like super complicated. Like, small movement can have a big impact if it's clean and it hits. And there's that like moment in the music, that impactful moment in the music, and that, so. So I think like if I had to sum that all up into a single word, clarity is the key to choreography.
Got you. I'm going to respect everybody's time. I know Jack's going to have to leave here in a second. So if you guys don't mind, I'm going to skip to our last two segments, and then we're going to wrap this up and get out of here and let everybody get on about their day. Gems. Paige, I'm just going to ask you, if you had to go back to the beginning of your dance career, what would you do differently? What gem, what piece of knowledge would you drop on the 15-year-old Paige?
Okay, 15-year-old Paige. And thinking about like how my life went, like how I wanted it to go when I was 15, I wanted to like, if I like move to LA, like go be a professional dancer. But I went to college and like pursued a career in law. So if I could like go back and tell myself, I'd just be like, be more free. Dance is like expression, it's freedom. So don't worry about what people think. people are going to think what they think. Just like do the things that, just trust my inner voice sooner. And I would have also, and I think again, this is like a thing of my age, like I would have recorded myself more. We weren't really doing that like that. Like back when I was younger.
You got to watch the tape. You're an athlete.
Yes.
Got to watch the tape.
Yes. I would have definitely like recorded myself a lot more. So yeah, to study and to grow. But I feel like the journey that I took, it shaped the artist that I am for sure. But I think those would be the two things. So like trust myself sooner, don't care, be more free and document more.
And documents. Cool.
That's dope.
Yeah, go ahead, man. What's up?
I just had a piggyback question. Do you feel like partially the road that you did take in terms of like getting doing the practical career route also kind of helped you in terms of being able to fund your passion a little bit more? I'm asking because I had a similar path in that wanted to be an MC, but also like being told to always do the practical route. So I've been a chef for 22 years. And so part of me is like, if I didn't take all the time that it took me to study culinary arts and like all the time that it took to hone my skills and learn how to open restaurants and work in 12-hour days and 15-hour days and all that in the chef route, would I be further as an MC than I am right now in my career? But also, I've also had a steady career that has given me the income to allow me to go to shows and go out of state and stuff like that. So it's like, have you found a similar situation with you where as much as you wish that you could have spent more time dancing, do you feel like maybe because of the route that you took, you're able to be more secure in how and when you're dancing now?
Absolutely. And I like
security.
I am,
like security.
Yeah. I'm grateful that I did take the path that again kind of shaped who I am now. And I think that my perspective is a lot different, obviously, from 20 years ago.
I'm gonna share a dirty little secret about hip hop. Okay. Here's a dirty little secret. As like you say, I'm as old as hip hop, so I've seen it like from the gate, right? If you do not most of these hip hop artists who are established, like you talk about, 3-2, didn't become established through music. They did become established through something else. Go look at MC Lyte. She's like, when I first got paid, I bought a house. That house has supported her. Like she bought it and paid for it outright, and she's been living off the refinancing and stuff. In other words, it's very hard to sustain a long-term career off of music. Most of those cats did not do it. Most of those cats who have been around as recognizable hip hop artists for a long time have undergirded their viability through something else. They didn't do it through music. And if they did try to go back to our documentary, The Freshest Kids, how many cats from the Rocksteady crew went to jail, died, all this stuff because they were selling drugs to try to keep money in their pockets. They was doing all kinds of crime to keep money in their pockets. So that's the dirty little secret about hip hop is if you don't have some way to support yourself, sustain yourself, be secure outside of this, you probably won't be able to do it because it's very difficult to make money off of art. It just is.
Right.
It just is. Let's move to real quick. You should know. Then we're going to wrap this up. If you guys wouldn't mind help me with these bios. I have two people that if you are interested in street dance, you should know these people. 3-2, do you have up Don Campbell?
Yes, sir. Don Campbellback Campbell, born January 8th, 1951, passed March 30th, 2020. He's an American dancer and choreographer who's best known for having invented the locking dance and for his work with the Lockers. He's born in St. Louis, Missouri in January, and Campbell discovered dance while studying commercial art at Los Angeles Trade Technical College.
Yes. And the Lockers, the Lockers, Shabba-Doo from Breaking, the movie, and Rerun from whatever that TV show was.
What's happening?
They all came out. That's the Lockers. That's his crew.
Yep.
And I'm going to tell you a little bit more about him in just a sec. J.EX, do you have up a bio on Toni Basil?
Yeah, I'm reading a little more. I'm like amazed. Okay, so here, Antonia Cristina Basilota. Born September 22nd, 1943. Better known by her stage name Toni Basil, is an American singer, choreographer, dancer, actress, and director. Her cover of the song Mickey, Hey Mickey, you're so fine, you're so fine, you blow my mind, topped the charts in the US, Canada, and Australia, and hit the top 10 in several other countries. And I read that, I was reading a little more, and she, just to put it in there, she went to high school in Las Vegas, and we're moving from Philly, and she was a cheerleader.
Yep.
And that's where she incorporated a lot of that in her video for Mickey.
Yep. That video is iconic, and the outfit she wore in that video is legitimately her high school cheerleading outfit. And she swears she's still alive today, and she swears that she could still fit in that outfit. But now here's the connection between those two. Those two met and dated in LA. They were a couple. And the two of them were the founders of the Lockers. Now you can go watch them perform on Soul Train. Toni's the only woman on stage with all these brothers. She gets busy.
Yeah.
Tell y'all, Toni gets busy with that locking stuff. She is genuinely like an innovator. She helped create the locking art form along with Don Campbell. Don Campbell, it's called an accidental masterpiece because he was trying to learn. I have some quotes that I'm going to share about these two. He says that he was actually a visual artist more, and he was trying to draw some cool cats in the neighborhood, and these cats was doing dances and stuff, and he was trying to learn what they did, and accidentally, as he was trying to learn, he would freeze in the middle of a move, and in his head, he's like, I'm drawing with my hands. My dance style is him physically drawing with his feet and with his hands. It's a very weird, artists are weird, right? But Toni and Don were a couple back in LA, and they actually created the Lockers. I'm going to share some, and if I'm telling you, Kat, it's very, very interesting to go back and dig into the history of these two cats. But I'm just going to share some quotes, some favorite quotes of theirs that I have. Don, he's famous for saying that the best dancer, I shouldn't say he's famous for saying this, but some of his favorite quotes. The best dancer doesn't always win. It's the best entertainer. Okay. Which we're going to talk about here quickly before we get out of here. He's like, so don't hold back, man. Just cut loose. Do your thing. A lot like you said, Paige, just be free. Just be free. He says it does take guts and courage to get out there on the stage, but a lot like you said also, Paige, just don't stop dancing. He said, you can copy somebody, but the star has to come out of you. Meaning, like, you have to inject your own individuality into your art. And it's like, nobody can beat you at being you. And the reverse is true. You could copy somebody, but you'll never beat them at being them. So just be yourself, man. And it's like the stars got to come out of you. And if you're going to be like me, you got to be free like me. Because I just get out there and do my thing. That's what you were saying, Paige, about that's the advice you would have given the younger you. Just be more free. That's what Don said. Now, moving on to Toni. Toni is an example of how to blaze a career path as a street dancer. I'm talking about she's worked with everybody from Elvis all the way up to modern day Leonardo DiCaprio. Like you said, Jex, she did that track Mickey. She grew up, she was knee deep in the arts industry because her parents were artists. She grew up basically off stage, behind the stage, mixed into it from the gate. And she went from dancing on Soul Train to working with, I swear you name it, David Bowie, everybody. David Bowie was emailing her on his deathbed. That's how elevated she's become, right?
Wow.
Yeah. But she yeah, her work with James Brown has remained foundational to her style. If you watch her dance, you can see James Brown influence in her because she got down with James Brown and she never forgot it. So James Brown's influence on hip hop is almost universal from the music. From the music to the dance, JB's fingerprints are all over hip hop, right?
Rest in peace.
For real. Now, some favorite quotes of Toni that she did. She's like, dancing is my drug of choice. And to survive in the music industry, the dance industry, you just can't stop dancing. Just got to keep dancing. It's a natural high. It's a drug. So she's like, that's my drug of choice. When I say she's been getting down since like the 50s, 60s from Frank Sinatra and all those cats, she was the choreographer just a couple of years ago on that movie with Quentin Tarantino, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Like if you see the dancing in that movie, she's behind that.
Amazing.
But do you guys ever see Legally Blonde?
I didn't.
I
Yes.
watched that last night. That's so funny.
That's crazy.
Yeah, that's hilarious.
Have you ever seen it, 3-2?
No, I haven't seen it.
Have you ever seen it? Okay. Bend and Snap? That's her.
Was it?
She choreographed that movie. Bend and Snap is Toni. And this is my gym. This is the gym that I'm going to put a link to it in the podcast, but everybody should go watch on YouTube. Toni Basil, Judge Demo, Street Beat, 2024. I'm talking about five months ago. Okay. Y'all better leave Toni alone, man. Y'all don't want that smoke. Y'all don't want that smoke, man. She's 80, whatever, still melting the dance floor. I mean, she's a legend. She's great. Toni Basil is somebody, if you like street dance, you definitely have to go to school on Don Campbell.
Dance will keep
Toni
you
Basil.
young. Dance will keep
Yes,
you
it will.
young.
Yes, it will. Yes, it will. All right. So that is pretty much it. Jex, if you got a boogie, that's cool. I got some very quick hitters for Paige about competition, and then we are definitely going to get out of here.
Yeah, and Paige, I want to exchange info with you. I would like to talk with you about there's a women's event going on that my team and another one of our team are throwing, and I think it would be good to have, you and your dance people come along. We looking for female dancers and all that.
Okay, bet.
So I want to link you with the right people on my team.
Can I just get your info from Derrick?
Of course, I'll put everything in the message right now.
Oh, okay. Is there on here?
And the little
I'll make sure regardless.
And if anything, Derrick will give you all the information as well.
I'll make sure.
Yeah, and you can give him my info, but either way, we'll connect.
Gotcha.
Yeah, and it's happening in June, so I'm glad you're gonna be here too.
Oh yeah. I'll be here at least till early July.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Jex, you still here or you boogie?
I got, from what I was told, 2 more minutes. So,
well, I'm gonna thank you for your time, my man. I'm gonna let you go.
All right. I love y'all. Have a good day.
Love you, bro.
Good to meet you.
Good to meet you too.
Dope. All right. So, Paige, because I know you got your class and stuff, and I promise to get you out of here too. I got some quick hitters on dance competitions. 3-2, do you have the notes up at all?
No, I couldn't find them. I thought that you sent them, but I don't think.
That's cool. If you could do me a favor, see if you can Google Olympic scoring for breaking. The breaking Olympic scoring.
Yeah, in Olympic breaking, a panel of 9 judges scores each battle round using 5 criteria: technique, vocabulary, execution, musicality, and originality, each contributing to 20% of the final score, with judges using the digital sliders to determine the winner in each category.
Dope. So, Paige, just again, I'll recap those. Technique, vocabulary, which is the number and variety of moves, execution, musicality, and originality. Okay. Out of those, what ranking or most important, which one you going to focus on first if you yourself are getting in a competition? Not your students, because your students are new, but like if you were going to get in one, which one would you focus on first?
Technique, vocabulary,
execution, musicality, and originality.
I think musicality and execution. You said the two. What would I focus on if I were competing?
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, musicality, because again, it doesn't always have to be super complicated, but if you are hitting the music, like if you're in that, like the pop, like just kind of like in the groove of the music, if you know how to catch the beat, like, I don't know, I just feel like musicality for me is like biggest, and then execution. And again, that like clarity, the storytelling, like if I am not executing effectively, then the audience isn't going to be able to comprehend what it is that they're going to be like, what's she trying to do? What's going on? So yeah, musicality, execution.
Would you practice more on individual moves or combinations? And I got a follow-up question here, just like for competition.
Like in a class or in a, okay.
Competition. This is all these questions about competition.
Combination.
Now.
Yeah, combination.
Okay. Why would you go that route as opposed to like coming up with putting more tools in your bag, so to speak? Or is a combination a tool in your bag? Like, oh, I'm gonna break out. What I'm trying to get to is like the mind of when you're in the battle, when you're in the dance competition. What's the thought process? Are you thinking about, oh, I need to break out this move, or are you thinking, okay, I'm ready to do this, that, and the third. Boom, boom, boom. I'm ready to hit them with this, that, and the third. You know, like how?
Me
what's the thought
personally,
process?
I'm thinking about telling a story, and so I'm like big on communication. Like I teach writing because legal writing is like the process of like telling the story, telling your side of the case, and if the judge doesn't understand what you're trying to communicate, it doesn't matter if the law is on your side, you're not going to win. And so I kind of take that sort of same philosophy into my dancing. So I'm always first and foremost thinking about telling a story. So like, what's the music doing? That's why like musicality, execution, that clarity is important. And yeah, I'm thinking about like the combination of the story, like everything that I'm doing to communicate that. So yeah.
3-2, I know like you've been in competitions and you talked about like when you are in there and you had to improvise. You talked about that one time where you needed to play your crowd song because the other cat broke out his crowd song. You're like, oh, I wasn't planning on bringing that, but now I got to reach in my bag and break that out. Right. So I'm wondering, like, as an MC, when you go to dance competition, how do you know when a dancer is killing it? How can you look and see like, oh, that dancer's got it?
For me, it's like one of my favorite things to observe in, especially like the freestyle dance competitions outside of breaking, is when you know that an artist knows the song. They may not have come up with their routine based on that song, but when they know the song, and so then they know like certain instrumental hits that are coming, and they freestyle like whatever movements. If there's a piano run, like they do something with their fingers or whatever that goes to the rhythm of the piano, or if there's like staccato like drum hit, and they lock their movements in tandem with the rhyme, and you know that they didn't rehearse that because the DJ doesn't have a playlist that he's like, okay, you're going to be performing to this song and you're going to be battling to this song. So they just feel it. But when they know it, and sometimes you can see their face brighten up when the song plays and they know that it's their jam. And then like, you just feel an extra pep in their step and like extra bounce in their dance. Yeah. And like they know exactly what they want to do because it's their favorite part of the song. And so when it hits, you can just see them vibe with that. And I think that that's something that's dope. That's more so part of dance than it is emceeing, is the fact that you have all of these tools in your bag and you know what you want to do, but in the heat of the moment, like the actual moment, you're able to just vibe with what is going on, with the sounds that are going on, the song that's coming along, and you're able to tweak and everything without it being an obvious, like sometimes if something happens with an MC, you gotta deep, like if you forget some lyrics or whatever, and you gotta freestyle a few bars to get you back on track to where you remember where the bars are. Some MCs can do it flawlessly. Some it's a bit, you're like, oh, okay, you stuttered a little bit. But with dance, I feel like because it's such a fluid thing and it's so intuitive, then it's easy to, it's for dancers that know what they're doing and care about the craft and everything, it's easy for them to switch off what they planned on doing and improvise and then switch back to their plan whenever the improvisation period is over, if that makes sense.
Got you. Paige, last question for you, and then we're gonna get out of here. Well, maybe the last question. Not you as a competitor now, but you as a judge. How do you know when somebody just doesn't have it? Because what 3-2 said, like if I'm watching, Me and my daughter loves dance videos, those dance challenge videos, or when a dance studio puts up a video and everybody's in the studio, and we'll be watching and I'll be like, oh, that person can dance, that person can't dance. And it's a lot like what 3-2 was just saying. Sometimes you can see a person's just a little flare that they do with their hand, or a little wink that they do with their eye, or a little extra twist, or a little extra something they put on a move, right? For you, if you're watching people dance, how do you know when they either don't, how do you know when someone does not have it? What are the telltale signs?
If you don't feel it as someone observing, like, I don't know how to describe that exactly, but I don't know, you can just kind of
How about the
feel
flip then? How about the flip? How if you just walk
when
up
they
cold?
don't have it.
No, when they do have it. How about it? Let's go to Flip's way.
Mm-hmm.
You come into a studio cold and you're just observing 10 dancers doing a routine.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you're like, in your mind, how do you figure, oh, that's the best dancer out of this whole crew?
Yeah.
What is that person doing?
And they might not even be doing the dance right, but the execution, like, just thinking about the criteria of the judging, like, if they are performing, if they're not in their head. Sometimes when you get in your head and you're thinking too much about what other people think, or, what am I, the next thing that I'm going, like, when it's
You can
not
see them
like a
counting in their head.
Yep.
yeah, you can see them trying to calculate it. And that's like the part of dance. And it's so funny because I grew up like that, right? Like, being a competitive dancer, the culture was for you to look like the other dancers in your group and be all in sync and uniform. So that has been something that I have also struggled with, again, of just like the training of being in a studio and then becoming an attorney, like, again, caring a lot of what people think. But when they're more free and they're performing freely, and I mean, you do need to be able to like get the choreography. You can't always just be like being improving. But again, that like don't stop moving, that's something we tell, because we'll film at the end of our classes. And sometimes if they're really intimidated in the middle of filming, they'll walk off. And it's like, no, 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 no. You can't just walk off. You need to keep doing something.
Yeah.
And you just had a little solo, if it wasn't what everybody else was doing, then that's what we'll call it. But don't stop dancing. And so when I come into a class and I'm like looking for a certain type of dancer I can't get nobody a job. I'm not in that position yet. But if I'm just looking for a dancer to like perform my choreography or something, I want to see, I get like the execution, like, are you performing or are you just doing the step?
Yeah.
And I can get guilty a lot of times of just doing the step because I have that precision about me. But when I'm able to like let go and feel and like put my own style to it, that's the other thing too, is like, are you able to like have your own style? Like, are you able
charisma,
to,
your flair,
yes,
your own flavor?
Yes. So
I feel like
yeah.
I feel like that a part of that is, once like some people get really focused on, no, it's part of, similar to me as an MC, like knowing the material first, like the back of your hand, so then you can improvise with your individual movements and your performance style because you know where your feet are going and all that stuff. And that's what makes it like a dance performance. So, because you can see like when you're looking at in those group dances and stuff like that, you can see the people that are they base their movements on the timing of the dancers around them. And so you can see them kind of looking off at the corner of their eye. And then this dancer's arm is going up. Oh yeah, her arms are going up like this. And then this is going up. But then the ones that know the dance, they can add the flair because they know they don't have to look at anybody. They don't even have to look at the mirror in front of them. They know what's coming on. So then they're and even
lost in their own world.
Yeah, even if you take it back to like family reunions and the electric slide, you got the group that whenever an electric slide starts, you got the people that are looking around at the people next to them and then you got that auntie that's jumping up and banging on the ground and she's adding all the shoulder movements and like that's very much translated into the similar situation of like those dance competitions to me, when you can see the people that like know the dance so they're able to perform it versus ones that kind of know it. They feel like they know it enough, that they can use everybody around them to kind of as like timestamps of, you know, making up the stuff that they don't know, filling in the blanks by watching the people around them. And it's very visible, the difference.
It's extremely visible. I think we're going to wrap up with Don Campbell's quote. It's like, it's not always the best dancer, it's the most entertaining.
Yeah, for sure.
It's the one who's the most entertaining. So just let it go. Don't stop dancing. Be the best entertainer that you can be, and you'll probably be all right. So
I love that.
Cool. Paige, I can't thank you enough. I'm so serious. It has been very challenging to get a dancer to sit down and talk with us. And your generosity for, this morning, your time, everything, I can't thank you enough. Hopefully some of your students can come and get down to some of the open mics. We'd love to have you,
Yeah, let me know like when things are happening, and I follow you now. So thank you for the opportunity. This was really cool to kind of reflect and like think about things myself. So I appreciate it.
Where can people hit you up?
On Instagram, my handle is Pretty City with an extra Y at the end, PrettyCittyY. And honestly, that's it for the socials right now. I have a TikTok, but I don't really know how to use it. So people be sending me messages and I don't really know how to get back to them. But yeah, my email is my first name, last name at gmail.com, paigesnellgrow@gmail.com, PAIGESNELGRO@gmail.com. So between Instagram
and the studio.
my email. Elemental Studios, 4668 Glencoe Street in Denver. I teach on Saturdays at 12 o'clock and on Tuesdays at 7:30 p.m. This week, is this going to be
It'll come out on the 1st.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Tuesdays at 7:30 p.m. I do pop-ups now and then at random places, so just follow my Instagram. Everything's there.
Dope. 3-2, same socials? Everybody know where to get you?
Same socials, yes, sir.
All right. Well, again, man, sincerely thank both of you for getting down. As always, this is one of my favorite things to do is wake up on Saturday mornings, talk about hip hop.
Yeah.
And next up is going to be the last artist in our core 4, which is, this is the great white whale, I guess. This is like trying to find Moby Dick, trying to find a graffiti writer who wants to sit down and talk about writing graffiti and hip hop is extremely difficult, but we're going to do it. We're going to get one. That's going to be the last the last topic that we talk about. Then we're going to have a final episode to kind of put a capstone on this whole project. And that is it for today. So again, thank you both for getting down and peace.
Yeah.
Take care.